Hey, so welcome back to Gasoline and Guns. Today, I'm at the 2016 Suzuki Demo Days at my local motorcycle dealership. This is State 8 in Peninsula, Ohio. Today I'm going to be riding the GSXS1000F. I'm going to call it the 1000F for the remainder of the video because that's a long name. But anyway, some basic stats on the bike. This model was originally introduced in 2015. It has a dry weight of 472 pounds. Should put its wet weight at about 500 even. It has, depending on who you ask, it has either a 4.4 gallon tank or a 5 gallon tank. I'm not sure which one to believe. I couldn't find that information directly on Suzuki's website. Anyway, some performance numbers. According to a test performed by motorcyclenews.com, which I'll be referencing for other stuff later, the bike has a top speed of 157 miles an hour and a quarter mile time of 10.77 seconds, both of which are very respectable. All right, so this bike directly competes with two other models from two other manufacturers that are current production. We have the Ninja 1000 from Kawasaki, which, the 1000F also has an MSRP of $10,999. All right, so anyway, the Ninja 1000. All right, MSRP of $11,999, so it's $1,000 more. But it has a slightly smaller gas tank at 4.2 gallons. It has basically the same wet weight. It's 505 pounds wet. Let's see. It makes, depending on who you ask, it either makes 125 or 138 horsepower and about 74 foot-pounds of torque, while the 1000F makes 140 horsepower and 78 foot-pounds of torque. Let's see. The Ninja, I was unable to find a tested top speed for the Ninja, but sportrider.com lists the estimated top speed as 150, and it runs the quarter mile as tested at 10.81 miles, 10.81 seconds. All right, the other bike that the 1000F competes with in this light sport touring category is the CB1000R from Honda, MSRP of $11,760. Similar seat height to the Ninja, 32.6 versus the Ninja's 32.3. Both of those are higher than the 1000F's stated seat height of 31.9 inches. The Honda also weighs about the same as the Suzuki at 478 pounds dry, but it is the least powerful of all of them, having the highest horsepower rating that I could find at 124 horsepower and 74 foot-pounds of torque. And you can see the horsepower deficit in the performance numbers, with the top speed of 142 miles an hour and a quarter mile time of 11.3 seconds. So with this light touring class of bikes, basically they're reasonably comfortable upright seating position bikes that are styled to look like super sports. If you didn't know what the model was and you just saw it going down the road, you might mistake it for a Gixxer 1000, seeing the Suzuki. But the seating position is substantially more upright, as you can tell by the lack of clip-ons and the nice raised handlebars that we have going on there. The mirrors are very easy to see. They're nice and up and out of the way. Very little view of the elbow and much more view of the road behind you. The dash on the Suzuki 1000F is a pretty complete unit. It has a digital. It's all digital. It has a digital speedometer. It has a digital tack that is a horizontal bar starting to the left, going to the right as it revs. I'm not a fan. I would prefer an analog tack. The Ninja 1000 has an analog tachometer, and it has a very traditional gauge cluster compared to a modern sport bike. If you've seen a modern sport bike dash, you've seen the Ninja 1000 dash. Analog tack on the left, speedo on the right, along with regular information. The CBR's is similar to the Suzuki's, except instead of being a single unit, it has like 2 little pods on each side. But anyway, the Suzuki is the only one with the gear position indicator. And I don't understand why more bikes don't have them, especially in a touring capacity like this, where you might be going at the same speed for a substantial amount of time. And it's easy to forget. If you're in 5th or 6th sometimes on the freeway, and I've occasionally found myself trying to shift into a 7th gear that doesn't exist. I appreciate a gear indicator, and it's weird that they're not more common, considering one of my bikes, my 84 Magna, has it. And that's, I mean, it's an 84, really, come on. So anyway, these bikes are great for pretty much everything. They handle almost as well as Supersport, but they are substantially much more comfortable. And with the wind protection that you get from a full fairing and the comfort that you get from an upright sitting position with nice bars and reasonably placed pegs, you can ride for much longer without putting as much weight on your wrist or much strain on your back. Because of that, these bikes make great commuters or light touring machines. For solo touring, I would not try and do 2-up touring on one of these, mostly because you wouldn't have room for much luggage after you have a passenger on the back. All right. But anyway, the obvious thing to compare this to, besides its actual competitors, the people who will be making the choice to buy this will be choosing to buy this instead of a Supersport. I feel like that they're going to be picking this. They're going to be deciding if they want this class of bike or Supersport. So I have gathered some information here, comparing this to its sister bike, a GSXR 1000, which is not that far off, considering that this bike actually uses almost the exact same motor from 2005 GSXR, the K5 series bike, also known as the Long Stroke. This bike is almost identical to this motor is almost identical to that motor, except that it uses much less expensive bits, the little fiddly bits. Like, for example, this has a stainless steel exhaust instead of the titanium exhaust that was found on the K5 series GSXR 1000. But and more importantly, this uses stainless steel valves instead of titanium valves, which is a great cost-saving feature. But it also reduces the rev ceiling by about 1,000 revs, and that also reduces the horsepower, which is why this bike makes about 10 to 15 less horsepower than a competitor when you would compare it to a K5 series bike. But anyway, compared to a modern, current 2016 GSXR 1000, the GSXR 1000 has an MSRP of $13,899 versus $10,999. So right there, you're giving a $3,000 premium, almost 30% up on the GSXR. Now for that, the GSXR does weigh substantially less, and it does make quite a bit more power. But those numbers don't necessarily mean anything if they don't make the bike go faster. So first, we'll look at the obvious choice, the one that makes the GSXR look so much faster, is top speed. On the 1000F, the top speed is 157, as tested by motorcyclenews.com. In that same test, they were doing a comparison between it and the GSXR as well. So in that same test, on the same day, on the same track, with the same rider, the GSXR 1000 did 181 miles an hour GPS confirmed on both speeds. Now, same test, GPS confirmed, 0 to 100 sprint. All right. Now, in this, you would expect the substantially more powerful, lighter GSXR 1000 to do substantially better, but surprisingly, it doesn't. The 0 to 100 time of the GSXS1000F is 6 seconds even, while the GSXR 1000 beat it by 0.3 seconds, 5.7 seconds. Now, in the if you look at the distance it took to reach that speed, you'll see that the GSXR managed to get there less than 2 meters earlier. So if you were to do a side-by-side race of these two bikes, if you were on the 1000F and your buddy was on the GSXR, when he hit 100, your front wheel would be would not be behind his rear wheel. He would not even be an entire bike length ahead of you. I would call that a marginal win. That is the difference between a perfect shift and an okay shift. It could ruin this. A great launch and a good launch. Heck, a great launch and a perfect launch. Those numbers are so close as to not matter. Now the same is with the roll-on speeds. The 40 to 90 roll-on top gear and the 40 to 120 were basically the same. In the 40 to 120, the GSXR 1000 had a 0.2 second advantage. That's absurd. It's tiny. It's minuscule. For the quarter mile times, the GSXR 1000 stretches its advantage, but not even to a half second. The 1000F has a quarter of 10.77 versus the GSXR 1000's 10.33. That's 0.43 seconds. 0.44 seconds. With a professional rider. These bikes are... you would not even be able to tell the difference going down the road of which one is faster. So I have a hard time understanding why you would want the GSXR. Yes, it's faster. It actually had a better braking distance by about 8 feet. I can't remember, I didn't write this down, but I believe from 70 miles an hour, the GSXR stopped in 70 meters, and the 1000F was like 73 meters. So that's, or was it maybe 50 or 53? I don't know. Anyway, I'm not sure why you really want the Super Sport. It's much less comfortable. It gets worse gas mileage substantially. And it's much, much, much more expensive to insure. The 1000F has like a 30% advantage in insurance costs. The same with the Ninja and the Honda Cub. Bikes like these make me question why people buy Super Sport. So anyway, back onto the bike. I really enjoyed riding this motorcycle. This was actually my first leader bike. I wasn't expecting the jump from an 800 to 1000 to be this substantial, but it is. I don't know, the mid-range doesn't feel insanely more powerful, but the power band extends so much lower with the extra displacement that when you're tooling around in 6th gear at 35 miles an hour, you don't need to shift on the smaller displacement bikes either, but it's so effortless. When you just roll it on in 6th, it feels the same way as it would if you shifted down one on an 800 or 750 or 2 gears on a 600cc bike. So, I don't know, just being in the power band that much earlier. When we were cruising along at 50 miles an hour in 6th, you are in the power. There is no shift, there is no waiting for revs, there is no waiting for VTEC, there is just go. Now. And because of that, like, if you've ridden, or obviously most of my people will ride, you know when you're going down the road and you're in the power intentionally for sporting purpose, the bike just wants to go faster. But since you're cruising around already in the power, you're never not in the power. It wants to move. It is an exciting thing. Trying to, I don't know, it feels like you're trying to hold back a monster when you're riding something like this. I don't know. It's one of those things that if you know, there's no need to try and explain. If you haven't experienced it, I can't explain it to you. But I don't know, I guess all the riding is like that. So anyway, you should always pay attention to when your local dealer is having demo days, because they don't usually announce it very well. You have to go out and make it. It is always a good thing to go out and ride someone else's motorcycle. Free gas, free ride, try new things. It's always good. So the Suzuki GSXS1000F. Gasoline and guns is a big 2 thumbs up. I like this whole setup. Hopefully, I'll be able to find some more bikes to test ride, expand my garage. We'll see. The CX is up for sale currently, so we'll see what happens with that. Still thinking about maybe picking up that Valkyrie 100. We'll see. I'd like to have a cruiser in the stable, but then again, this bike is making me rethink that. Once I sell the CX, maybe I'll pocket the cash. See how much I can trade in for the VTEC on my Interceptor. See what the heck happens. Because one of my local dealers, Rick Roush, Motorsports in Medina, has one of these, has a 2015 holdover model in the black and gray, the color I would want, for $8,999. Oh, $2,000 discount. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens when I sell the CX. We'll see what happens when I sell the Magna. But I liked this bike. I liked it a lot. So anyway, if you like my videos, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Get out and ride.